TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform.
And
head
just
to App Store
like
or Play Store
that,
now.
the boys
and
are
search
back.
WagerWire and
It's
download
Mozzie.
the app.
It's Live Zone, live and in the zone. Welcome to the Xtra Point. Live Zone, what's going on? How we doing?
We got a lot going on. As you have heard, Live Zone Sports, the Xtra Point, Dynamics on the Hardwood, Live 5 list. It's all part of East Coast Sports Investors as of now. We got a lot going on. We're going to come to you with a hell of an episode for the Xtra Point. Mozzie, let us know what we're getting into.
We have a chock full lineup today. We're stopping in Detroit on our NFL train. We got MVP talk going on down in Detroit. Jared Goff putting up some substantial numbers. There's been talk that after the previous week's performance of 5 interceptions, he's off. He's out of the MVP race. I'm here to talk to you today about, did he put himself right back into the MVP race in the National Football League with his performance this past week, putting up 52 points with the Lions? Live Zone, what are you thinking? What's your MVP race looking like? And is Jared Goff still in that conversation for you?
110% Jared Goff is part of the MVP conversation. Listen, I know that a lot of people are saying, hey, he may have fell off a few weeks. It might have hurt him for the MVP race. Listen, not every quarterback is going to have an amazing week every single week, right? It depends on the defensive matchup that they got going on. Jared Goff, 412 yards, 4 touchdowns in the last game, and really the real 9-1 record in the NFL, as I put it, because I think that the other one is a little bogus. But I'm looking at Jared Goff and I'm looking at the Detroit Lions and being like, all right, this team's legit. They kill teams most weeks and they have a really good record. Super Bowl is right around the corner. Detroit's looking to get their first one. Jared Goff is looking to lead them. He's been a great leader the last 2-3 years. Now it's time to step it up. I think, me personally, yes, he's in the MVP talk, but I think he's worried about something much more.
Super Bowl bound is definitely his biggest interest. He's looking for his first. Detroit's looking for his first. I got a couple people in this MVP race, and I think Jared Goff did catapult himself back into this conversation. After the 5 interception performance, coming in with this performance, he's got 20 TDs on the year, 9 interceptions. If you take away the 5 from that one game, he's only got 4, over 2,400 yards this season, 112 QBR, and that 9-1 record, like you said, a true 9-1 record. If I'm looking at this, I have Jared Goff at number 2 in the MVP race currently right now. My number 1 might surprise you, and my number 3 might surprise you as well. I actually have Lamar sitting at number 3 in the MVP race, and I have Josh Allen sitting at number 1 in the MVP race, which might shock a bunch of people. Now, let me give you some reasons why. Josh Allen winning for his team and being the reason behind his team's wins and bringing them to a 9-2 record is why he is the most valuable player. If you take Josh Allen off the Buffalo Bills, that team is a 500 team at best. If you take Lamar Jackson off the Baltimore Ravens, that team is still a winning team. If you take Jared Goff off the Detroit Lions and put another quarterback in there, that team is still a winning team. Maybe not to the caliber that they are at, but I just think the drop from losing Josh Allen on Buffalo compared to the other ones makes him a way more valuable player. Yes, Lamar's got 25 TDs and 3 interceptions this year, but his record's 7-4, and he's losing the crucial games where he needs to be the MVP. Putting up less than 16 points against Pittsburgh, your division rival, and losing the game is not in the cards for this Ravens team. You have too much on offense. You got Henry, you got Bateman, you got Flowers, you got Andrews, you got Lamar, and you have a star defense. Looking at it for Detroit, you got Amon-Ra, you got Williams, you got a dynamic running back with Montgomery and Jamar Gibbs. Like, you take Jared Goff off that team and put any quarterback in the league, that team is still winning games. I can't tell you. You look at Josh Allen, what is his weapons? Amari Cooper and Kevon Coleman, and Kevon's injured right now. So, I mean, you take Josh Allen and his legs off that team, and that team is not the same at all. That's why I got Josh Allen number 1 in the MVP race. I got Jared Goff number 2, and I got Lamar number 3.
Okay. Yeah, number 3 really does surprise me because I have his teammate at number 2, actually. My number 1, I agree with you, is Josh Allen. Number 1, it has been since the season has started. With the team that they have, they're more based on the run game now. The way he stopped throwing as many picks as he did last year and the year before that, definitely an improvement. They're winning more games. They're focused on winning. As you saw in the press conference with Josh Allen, he said, listen, we know that 9 wins isn't going to get us in the playoffs, and we're at 9 wins right now, so we got a lot more to do. If that's not leadership, I don't know what is. The Buffalo Bills look legit, and they just beat the Kansas City Chiefs that were undefeated to give them their only loss of the season. You got to look at the Buffalo Bills as a legit contender, especially with having one of the best running backs in James Cook. Now, my number 2, this is where I go to the best running back in the league. I'm taking Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, yes, he has not been getting as many carries, and we will be talking about that shortly. But when he has been getting carries, he's been very useful on the field, and he's been giving the Baltimore Ravens. He's been giving the Baltimore Ravens a lot of points going down the field. Not even just in the red zone. He's had 80-yard runs, 70-yard runs, doing Derrick Henry things after we thought that Derrick Henry was not going to be the same Derrick Henry in Baltimore that he was in Tennessee. Really showing up for the team, even though we want to see him get more touches. My number 3, this is where I put Jared Goff as well. Listen, the Detroit Lions are a great team. Yes, Jared Goff is a great leader, but like you said, you put any of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league on to this team is going to succeed either way. Jared Goff just happens to be that lucky guy. So for me, I have Jared Goff. I mean, come on, when you're a team and your linemen are scoring touchdowns, what does that tell you about the rest of the team? It tells you that they're not selfish and they're willing to get points no matter what way they can. And that's great coaching. So for me, I have Jared Goff at number 3, and then that's where I slide Lamar down to number 4. Listen, I know that Lamar Jackson is a one-of-a-kind quarterback. I am well aware of what he can do on the field, but my point is that he's been lacking in the leadership that Jared Goff has, that Derrick Henry has, that Josh Allen has, and because of that, I have to slide him down to my 4 spot.
Yeah, I just can't. I put Derrick Henry as an honorable mention in the number 4. I just can't. There might be too many MVPs on the Baltimore Ravens. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got Lamar and you got Henry. If you take one of those away, they're still a great team. But so how valuable to the offense are they? I know Derrick Henry's got over 1,200 yards already. He's had a touchdown in almost every single game except for one this season. I do think Lamar carries more of the load just based off the quarterback position alone. That's why I put Lamar ahead of Derrick Henry, but you can't go wrong with any 4 of those, truly, in my eyes. We do have to keep an eye out on Justin Herbert. 13 TDs, 1 interception, not putting up crazy numbers, but winning the games he needs to and being the leader he needs to and not turning the ball over. So we do have to keep an eye on that, truly.
Yeah.
Moving forward, though, we do have more talks about King Henry himself. Why are the Ravens not trusting in the King? Prime example against the Steelers, you have a late touchdown. You're at the 2 going for a 2-point conversion. You've averaged over 6 yards per carry on the game. Why are you throwing it in shotgun and not just letting Derrick Henry fall forward over your O-line and into the end zone for a touchdown live zone? Why are they not giving him the ball? Why are they not trusting in him? He's putting up the numbers even with the least amount of carries.
It doesn't make sense to me. Going into the Baltimore Ravens offense, they brought Derrick Henry into this offense to run the ball down people's throats, right? That was the main reason why they had the best run game from their quarterback and their running back, and honestly, probably one of the best running back twos in Justice Hill as well. I don't understand why, especially in the Steelers game, last play of the game, and you're running it with Lamar Jackson and Justice Hill is on the field, and Derrick Henry is nowhere to be found on that field. It doesn't make sense to me. You have the best running back in the league. This reminds me of when the Seahawks had Marshawn Lynch,
I was
and
gonna
the
say it.
Seahawks decided to throw the ball on the 1-yard line instead of giving the game to Marshawn Lynch because they wanted Russell Wilson to save the day. That's what it's looking like in Baltimore. It looks like they want Lamar to be the guy. They want Lamar to be the one with all the status instead of a guy like Derrick Henry. And even Harbaugh said when he brought Derrick Henry in, listen, he said he's not going to get 40 carries a game. I understand that he's not going to get 40 carries a game, but 13 carries and not one carry in the fourth quarter until 2 minutes left on the clock is insane to me. Derrick Henry is the guy that you need to go to in these type of situations, in these type of games. The only reason why I can think that they didn't go to Derrick Henry against the Pittsburgh Steelers is because they didn't want the Pittsburgh Steelers to hurt him. But other than that, I mean,
Well,
come
there
on.
was the early game fumble right at the beginning of the game that Derrick Henry gave up also. Could have tied into the game plan there a little bit, maybe. Maybe they thought it was in his head already. But three and a half carries average per quarter for Derrick Henry. That's one drive. That's one drive. It's outrageous.
I mean, come on. Like I said, we're talking about the best running back in the game. There is maybe one other name that you could put in the same conversation as Derrick Henry right now in the NFL, and that's maybe Saquon Barkley, and it really just depends on the week for Saquon Barkley. There is not another guy that is
Watch out for Joe Mixon. Watch out for Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon. All right, I'll give you Joe Mixon as well, but then again, it depends on the week because it depends if the Texans are passing the ball or running the ball, because if you have Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs there, I don't think Joe Mixon gets as many carries as he originally does.
3 TDs last night. 3 TDs.
Exactly. So that's my point. They don't have Stephon Diggs. They need to rely heavier on Joe Mixon, and I get that. And Joe Mixon is that type of running back that you can rely on. Same thing with James Cook. But at the end of the day, you have the best of the best in running backs on your team, and you're not utilizing him at all in the fourth quarter until 2 minutes left. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand why. But at the end of the day, the coach lost that game for the Baltimore Ravens, not the Baltimore Ravens players, because Derrick Henry should have been on that field.
Absolutely. And even if Henry's the distraction, it's not working. Obviously, you're not putting up more than 16 points. I get it. Pittsburgh's got a defense, but also the Ravens have an offense. So it's I digress. It's unexplainable. I was at a loss for words. We have a battle in the NFC West, okay? I don't know if you've seen it. You've looked into it. It's coming down to the wire. And if you look at these schedules coming up as well, it's crazy. But we have an ad coming up first, and we're going to hit that first, and we'll be right back. And we are back. We're talking the NFC West. If you don't know, it's the Cardinals, the Rams, Seattle, and the San Francisco 49ers. And gosh darn it. Arizona 6-4, Rams 5-5, Seahawks 5-5, Niners 5-5. A game separating last and first place in a division where I think only one team's making it out of it. Live Zone. What do you see for this division coming down this pipeline with 7 games left to play for each of them? Lots of division games going on. Who do you think is going to come out on top? Who do you think is going to be vying for that last position? What do you see happening? What's going on?
Now, if you followed us on the Consumption Network, rest in peace to the Consumption Network, by the way. If you followed us on there, you know that I said the NFC West team that I am looking at is the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals are now 6-4 at the head of the division, making the playoffs. I don't know if I see that truly happening anymore based off of the last few weeks that I've seen. It depends what Kyler Murray shows up. Kyler Murray, you cannot consider a big time game player because he makes bad decisions. You have one of the best receivers in the league, or what could be one of the best receivers in the league, in Marvin Harrison Jr., and you are wasting him by not throwing him the ball more than for a quarter at best. So for me, I like where the Cardinals are right now. I like what I'm seeing from my Rams and the Seahawks. I have a lot of doubts from the 49ers. At the end of the day, it comes down to the last 3 division games. But I think, personally, I think that the Rams can sneak through and beat all 3 division games and sneak into the playoffs with the best record in the NFC West.
Now, I don't hate your pick, but I disagree with your pick at the end of the day. This division's tight, okay? There's a couple things going down here. All right, each team in this division has at least 2 games against division opponents left. Let's look at the 49ers to start, all right? Niners got the Bills, the Packers, the Lions, the Dolphins, the Cardinals, the Rams, and the Bears ahead for their last 7 games. There's 5 losses there before I even blink. So as far as I'm concerned, Niners finished with 10 losses and are completely out of this division already. I mean, truthfully, it's no contest for me. Even if they win the division games, I still don't think they have a shot. Even if they go 3-4 through those games, they have to go 4-3 through those games. And I don't see them beating a team of the Bills caliber, the Packers caliber, or the Lions caliber. Only team I could see them beating of that caliber is Miami, but they've gotten Tua back and everything, and they're looking good as well. So I just can't give them that one. Bears, I can give it to them, but maybe Caleb and that offense figures something out that week as well. So Niners, unfortunately, I love you, San Fran. 3 years out there, you'll have my heart, but it's done this year. It's over. I saw y'all lose to the Chiefs outside Golden State Warriors Stadium too. I was there. I really appreciate y'all, but it's done this year. Moving forward, I'm looking at the Rams. The Rams have a decent schedule left. I think they can turn it around. I have them going 3-4 and finishing 8-9, 3rd place in the division. They can easily flip that and win a couple division games in there and make that a 4-3 or a 5-2. And that, if they can make that happen, they're winning the division. What I really think it comes down to is the 2 teams here is the Arizona Cardinals and the Seattle Seahawks, okay? We have a stretch coming up on Thanksgiving, big Thanksgiving Day game. Seattle and Arizona, going to be a great game if I have to say so. A great game.
Bloodbath.
They're going to play on Thanksgiving, and then 2 weeks later, they're going to play again. If one of those teams wins both of those games, that will be your winner of this division. If Arizona goes 2-0 against Seattle, or vice versa, Seattle goes 2-0 against Arizona in those games, the schedules that they have left are easy enough for them to win 4 or 5 games and run away with this division after doing that. Now, that being said, if they split those games, I do see the Rams sneaking back into this. and it coming down to a last week matchup of Seattle versus the Rams, week 18 at SoFi Stadium. Lights are on, lights are bright. Hollywood would love it. It could come down to that if the script is written out. We're going to have to see. It could happen that way. If you put a gun to my head and tell me pick a team, I'm going Seattle Seahawks to win this division at the end of the year. If you followed us on the Consumption Network, you know I told Livezo, watch out for Geno Smith at the beginning of this year. He can get it done, and he's doing exactly that. I'm also loving the wide receiver. I can't pronounce his name. The double last name wide receiver, ended in Smith. He is going crazy for Seattle. Yes. He's going crazy for Seattle as well. And I just love the energy of that team. That team can win on the road as good as it can play at home. And that's what I really like about that team. So I do see Seattle winning that division. Do you see two teams from this division somehow making it into the playoff?
Depends if we see the fall off of Sam Darnold or not. That's what it comes down to. If we see the fall off of Sam Darnold, like I think could end up happening, then yes, possibly we could see a Rams and Seattle's Seahawks get into the playoffs. I wouldn't be mad at that at all, because I'm personally think that Sam Darnold is just at the right spot at the right time, in my own opinion. So for me, I think that it is possible, but the possibility of it happening is maybe 20%. I'm looking at this as at the same way that you're looking at this. I like the Seahawks and I like the Rams. I just personally know that Matthew Stafford can be counted on. I know that he has receivers like Cooper Kupp that have a ring already. He has a hell of a receiver in Puka Nacua that, in my opinion, is probably one of my favorite wide receivers in the league right now. Listen, it all comes down to who's going to win the offensive battle. Both defenses are mid-tier at best. Offenses is going to win this game, and I look at Arizona, and I can't count on Kyler. We talk about 50-50 quarterback with Kirk Cousins. And I look at Kyler Murray and I say, all right, well, that's a 50-50 quarterback if I've ever seen one. So for me, I have to look at it. I'm looking at it the same way you're looking at it. It's between the Seattle Seahawks and the LA Rams.
Side note, I bet on Kirk Cousins to win this past week, but I didn't look at his team's record. He was 6-4. No way he's going 7-4. They lose. He's 6-5. Back to a 500 quarterback like always. Kirk Cousins, always count on him to be average. That's just how it goes. But I see what you're saying about Arizona. I don't count on Kyler in any of these big games unless we're on Call of Duty. That's the only way we're getting it done. Rams, Seattle, let's lock it in. San Fran, I'm sorry. That schedule is absurd. Definitely crazy. All right. Just to recap, I got Arizona in their last 7 going 3-4. Niners going 2-5, Rams going 3-4, and Seattle going 4-3 to end up with Seattle at the same record as the Cardinals and winning the tiebreaker. That's the look.
I really do think that it's going to come down to this last game of the season between the Rams and the Seahawks, and the better offense will win. I'm right around the same with you. It's just I think that the Rams will pull out a few more wins.
We're going to have to see. Only time will tell, as we always like to say. We're trugging right along, moving along. We're going to hop out to the LA Chargers. Herbert time. That's what we like to call it. Justin Herbert having himself a time out there. Okay, just beating the Bengals 34-27 on prime time Sunday night. He's 13 TDs, 1 interception on the year. Shows how deadly accurate he's been all year. He's lining those things in there. The touchdown pass to Quentin Johnston was a dot in between 2 defenders into the end zone, right on cue as the announcers called it as well. I want to give my props to Herbert, okay? But I got to give my props to this defense as well, okay? This Chargers defense does not give up touchdowns. You can go all the way down the field. You could go 85 yards in 3 plays. They're going to bend, but they're not going to break in that red zone whatsoever. Least amount of TDs so far given up by any defense by 2. They've given up 15. The next closest is 17. There's a couple 18s. And then above that, you get out of here. It's above 20. So they're locked in. I also want to shout out Joe Alt on the offensive line. He's doing his thing over there. Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa on a little restriction. Khalil Mack having a little injury, and the Chargers are still being able to pull out these games, lock in on the defense when they need to, shut down explosive offenses like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. They did put up 27, but they had them locked down for a while. Again, you got it. There's credit all around on this team. Look at the coach. It's a bro. You can't go wrong there. And then you got the dynamic running back, just like the Detroit Lions have on a same level. Maybe not running as hard as the Detroit Lions running backs, but J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards is a 1-2 punch. That's as scary as they come in the league. You know, not a lot of teams have that 1-2 punch right there. The only one that comes to my head off the top is Jamar Gibbs and David Montgomery in Detroit. That's better than that 1-2 punch out there in LA. There's a lot to be happy about. And I think it's just getting right in LA. I don't think it's been right all season. They're just getting this thing rolling to the potential that they're at. And watch out, Kansas City. Watch out, Kansas City. Okay? Live Zone, what are you thinking about Herbert and his passing this year, how he's playing? Is he playing to an MVP level as well? We see in the comments somebody else is shouting it out.
Hey, listen, me personally, I think that Justin Herbert is always in the MVP talk. Justin Herbert has been the reason why the Chargers have been relevant for the past 3-4 years anyways. But, you know, adding pieces to this team, you know, you talked about the defense, you talked about Khalil Mack, you talked about Bosa. Somebody that you didn't mention was Asante Samuel, another lockdown defender, cornerback, exactly like his dad, doing the job the right way for the Chargers. I mean, it's a reason why the teams can't get in the end zone, because on those 3rd down and longs or those 3rd down and shorts, when they go to pass the ball into the end zone, that's the guy that you don't want to see is Asante Samuel Jr. So you have to put that out there. Number 2 is, like you said, J.K. Dobbins. I mean, we saw this guy have 2 torn ACLs in the last 3 years for Baltimore. He comes to the LA Chargers, and after that he has one hell of a season, probably a top 10 running back in the league right now. And it's not even getting looked at because he's on a secondary LA team, secondary to the Rams, of course. But record-wise, the Chargers are the best team in LA, but it's when you think of LA, it's still the Rams. So that's number 2. Number 3 is another thing that you did not talk about is their wide receiver core. Yes, they have Johnson, but they also have 2 young receivers that are just getting going. We saw how McConkey is doing, averaging a touchdown at least a game, except for last game. It didn't end up happening because he got hurt in the 1st or 2nd quarter. And then they have Brendan Rice. Brendan Rice still has not gotten as many touches as he should be, but he will be in the lineup in the future once he progresses more in practice. And he's going to be another guy that you look at and you're going to be like, whoa, where are these Chargers wide receivers coming from? Oh, well, they all got drafted in the same year. It makes sense. So I like what I'm seeing from the Chargers, but, you know, Justin Herbert's a bad man. He's a bad man. 13 touchdowns, only 1 interception. I mean, I swear that I saw a 40-yard bomb to Johnson last week, and it was an amazing throw on Justin Herbert's part, right? So overall, Justin Herbert's doing his thing, doing his job, and he just needs to continue to do it.
Keep it running, keep it going. Coach is killing it. The offense is killing it. The defense is playing well. They're 7-3. They're looking to hunt down the Kansas City Chiefs, who are at 9-1. I mean, things are looking good. I think the Chargers are in the playoffs as of today. They would be in the playoffs, and
they will continue to be. They will
And
continue to be.
they're making the playoffs this year?
They're going to make the playoffs this year.
Are we going to see
spot.
3 teams out of there? Are we going to see Denver, LA, and the Chiefs?
Yep, that's that. Your 7th spot goes to the LA Chargers this year.
Wow, hot takes. Hot takes, not hot cakes. Speaking about the Chiefs, they're 9-1. Do you believe it's a real 9-1? We're going to find out after this break.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no way with a heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop, come on, baby, higher.
And we are back. We hope you enjoyed that. We're talking Chiefs, 9-1. Is it a real 9-1 Live Zone? Do you feel like they've earned that 9-1?
Absolutely not. I think that out of all the years that the Kansas City Chiefs have been relevant, this is the one year that it has not been handed to them. I will say that. Do I think that it's deserved of 9-1 though? I don't know. There's a few games there that should have been a few losses there. I think we're more looking at a 6-3 record, but I do think that this season is the season that you've seen Patrick Mahomes come closest to Brady.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. Where are the Chiefs weak is what we want to know. Where are the Chiefs ending up they are winning these games. We see against Buffalo, they lose the game against a team that's of their caliber. Okay? What is the weakness for this Kansas City Chiefs in your eyes?
Well, in my eyes, it comes down to 2 things. It comes down to, number one, the defense, the cornerbacks and the safety not being on the same page. A lot of scoring on the Kansas City defense, and that shows up based off of their secondary, right? The Kansas City Chiefs secondary is not the best. They look confused against Buffalo and honestly against Baltimore in the first game of the season. I'm just not liking what I see from mainly the wide receiver core. Wide receiver core is still rough. We're still looking at this 2nd year in a row. Rashee Rice hurt. After Rashee Rice goes down, you got absolutely nothing. So you have to go out and get DeAndre Hopkins that doesn't know the playbook. DeAndre Hopkins is not producing the way he should be. Travis Kelce is not producing the way he should be. It makes Patrick Mahomes have to go look at a guy like Noah Gray in the tight end 2 spot and for 2 touchdowns a game. I don't like what I'm seeing from the Kansas City. Kansas City needs to get it together. The same way that the Buffalo Bills needed to get it together last year is what I'm seeing from the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, they are winning games, but come playoff time, they're not going to win those close games.
All right, so I agree with you, and I also disagree with you on some aspects. Let's break this down, okay? Looking at the Chiefs' defense, I understand you have a problem with their secondary. Let me just read you a stat. Yesterday was the first time in 30 games that the Chiefs gave up more than 28 points in a game.
Correct.
That defense, in 30 games, I think they're allowed 1 off, okay? Now, looking at it, they lost to the MVP of the league that we've both agreed on.
Correct.
Okay? Josh Allen. So I'm not really blaming the defense as a weakness. If that's their worst game and they lose by a score or what was it? It was 9 points, 2 scores, whatever it might have been. Losing by a score or 2 to the MVP and a team that is of your caliber is not really truly on the defense, in my opinion. Let's look at the coach. Is it Andy Reid? We don't really got to say much here, okay?
No.
It's not Andy Reid. It's not Andy Reid. Andy Reid, savage, one of my favorite coaches. Let's move forward. Let's look at the quarterback, okay? 15 TDs, 13 interceptions on the year. That's Kirk Cousins numbers. That's average. That's average. And you're 9-1. So you're telling me your quarterback's playing like an average quarterback and you're putting up a record that's above everybody else in the league besides the Detroit Lions? I'll take that any day of the week. When he's on, we're going to be untouchable. Moving down, let's look at the offense and the wide receivers. And you're exactly right. That is where the wheels fall off the bus. Okay. What is Travis Kelce doing? I don't know. Maybe he's working on a collab with T Swift on a song, maybe a joint album that he's got going. I don't know. His head's not in the game and he's not making the plays that Travis Kelce usually making the plays. All right, let's look at the wide receivers. I'm actually loving DeAndre Hopkins on the Chiefs. I just think we need to give him a little more time. I think he's gonna be great. The Worthy guy, I had my issues at the beginning of the year. I don't think he's fast, but unless you hand the ball to him on a platter, he could be wide open downfield, nobody around him, and still drop that ball. He's not reliable for this team. And like you said, other than that, who is there? I can't agree with you more that there's nobody there, and that's their biggest weakness. The thing that I'm hopeful for, though, is defense played bad. Offense looks like crap. Quarterback is playing average at best. Coach is still a GOAT. You're 9-1 with that, and your only loss is to arguably the second or first or third best team in your conference. I'm ready to see what happens when things start clicking. I mean, there's got to be a point in the year where things start clicking. If they're saving the clicking from come playoff time, we're seeing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl again, another year of it.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think you're going to see it click this year. That's the problem. Now, listen, I'm not saying that the Chiefs are in trouble and that they're going to scatter and they're going to disband and the Chiefs are not going to be the same Chiefs next year come playoff time. I'm not saying that. Obviously, the Chiefs are going to make the playoffs. The Chiefs are that good that even when they are bad, they are going to make the playoffs. I'm just saying we are 2-3 plays away from seeing a 6-4, 7-3 record from this Kansas City Chiefs team, which doesn't put them in the playoffs right now. So for me, I'm looking at it as, yes, you have had injuries. Rashee Rice got injured. That's your best receiver. You have the running back there.
Kareem Hunt.
Nope, Kareem Hunt's their running back now. Pacheco. You have Isaiah Pacheco. Got injured for the year, right? It makes sense why they're not at their best on the offensive side. I understand that, and I understand that next year when DeAndre Hopkins learns the playbook, when Kareem Hunt learns the playbook, this team is going to be a force to reckon with, even without Travis Kelce, which might end up happening after this season. But I'm telling you that this season, we talked about it with Brady. We talked about it with Peyton Manning. There were years where they just didn't get the job done no matter how good the quarterback was, right? We're seeing that from the Kansas City Chiefs this year. Yes, they're going to make the playoffs the same way Peyton Manning, the same way Tom Brady always made the playoffs, but they're not going to get to the dance. They're not going to get to the big game. I'm telling you, teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers, teams like the Buffalo Bills, teams like the Houston Texans when healthy, these teams are going to eat up on the Kansas City Chiefs when they're playing down like this because of the injuries. I personally don't think we're going to see a lot from the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs this year. I see a second round exit, in my own opinion, to the Pittsburgh Steelers because, in my own opinion, I think it's personally between, well, it was between the Houston Texans and the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I have recently changed that because of the injuries on the Houston Texans as well. Missing Stephon Diggs definitely ended up hurting them. And I see it going between the Buffalo Bills and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And with those two teams, You got the MVP that we were talking about on the Buffalo Bills. You got the best defense, or one of the best defenses in the league, on the other side. I just don't see Kansas City Chiefs making it past those two teams.
I understand. I definitely understand. And I love Buffalo and Pittsburgh as the picks. If you ask me right now, I have Pittsburgh making it to the conference championship, but I need to stand up for these Chiefs. There's an aura starting to form. Okay. It's the Brady effect, like the Manning effect as well, but more so the Brady effect. If the Patriots made the playoffs and were at home, teams were scared to go there. Teams were nervous. Teams made uncanny, uncharacteristic like plays and did not play to their game plan and ended up being beaten. I believe that aura is happening in Kansas City, Arrowhead, and around Patrick Mahomes. I think there's something in the air come playoff time where it's that difficult to go. You knew in January, February, going to Gillette, it was going to be a tough thing to do. Now, you go to Kansas City in January, February, it is a tough place to win. We saw it. 13 seconds isn't even enough time to leave on the clock for this team to come back and win in the playoffs. I think there's an aura starting, and I think it's going to come down right now for me to Pittsburgh and Kansas City in that conference championship game. And I think the winner of that game will go up against the Detroit Lions in the Super Bowl. And I think either way, Pittsburgh, Detroit, and Kansas City versus Detroit right now, even Buffalo, Detroit, even Houston, Detroit, is going to be an absurd Super Bowl. I'm praying Detroit makes it there. I'm praying. We're going to save that for another live, but I'm praying they make it there. I'm a Lions fan at heart right now. I'm a Patriots fan for life. But gosh darn, the Lions are crazy. But for me, Kansas City has the aura around them. Patrick Mahomes can make the play. He only has to make the plays when he needs to in the games. I know that's redundant to say and kind of obvious to say, but if he puts up 17 points against a team that only put up 14 points, he wins the game. He wins the game. He knows how to win. It's an aura that comes out in the playoffs. We've seen it. We've lived it in New England out here, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch 2001 to 2020 highlights of the New England Patriots in January in the playoffs. Check out their record, check out their touchdown ratio, check out how they were beating teams, check out what they were dealing with for injuries on offense and everything, and what the players they had. And you tell me you're not seeing so many similarities between the Chiefs and those Patriots teams.
And like I said, I'm with you. I understand that the Kansas City Chiefs have that in them. I understand that they can win any given game at any given point. I understand all this, but I'm saying with the injuries that we are seeing on the Kansas City Chiefs side, not necessarily on their defensive side, but more on their offensive side, people that have been making those plays like Isaiah Pacheco, Rashee Rice, they are not there come playoff time. And I'm sorry, if you're telling me that I'm relying on a Kareem Hunt and DeAndre Hopkins that does not know the playbook fully, does not know all the ins and outs, I'm looking at the Buffalo Bills right now, and I'm saying, okay, the Chiefs are 9-1. The Buffalo Bills are 9-2. They're a game away from getting home field advantage against the Kansas City Chiefs if they meet up. And not even just that, on the trend of right now, the Kansas City Chiefs are 46%. They have a 46% chance of winning home by. The Buffalo Bills went from 22% to 44% in the last week. I'm looking at the Buffalo Bills, and I'm saying if the Buffalo Bills meet the Kansas City Chiefs before the Pittsburgh Steelers do, I'm taking the Buffalo Bills over the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs this year.
I tell you this every year, and you don't listen to me for the past 2 years. If
Understand.
Patrick Mahomes is healthy and on the field, bro, you
I understand.
cannot count them
I
out.
understand. I understand, but I'm telling you, we're seeing a Tom Brady year where Peyton Manning gets into the Super Bowl instead.
Okay. 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 I can agree. Not agree with that, but I can realistically live with that if that's how you want to play it. But still, end of the day, if you're seeing Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs and he's healthy, I don't care if he's got a bunch of rookies running down the field trying to catch the ball. I'm taking Patrick Mahomes over anybody in the NFL. And that's a hot take, but
Hey, I don't hate the take. I'm just saying with the players around Patrick Mahomes right now, it's not the same as the players that helped him win 2 championships in a row. Put it that way.
understood. But Brady didn't need the same people to win championships 2 years in a row.
Julian Edelman and Gronk.
Right, I know, but he switched it up throughout his career. He never needed the same players every single time.
Fair, but they knew the playbook ahead of time.
Okay. We're going to see.
Yeah.
The only way to know is to watch more football, and that's the best part about this. So, that's the extra point for this time. This first live that we got going on here. It's Mozzie, it's Live Zone. In Live Zone, what do you have to say to the people on our way out? First live, under the books, feeling good.
Just know that there's a lot going on. We are in the works of a lot of different things, a lot of new things, a lot of things that we want to bring to the table for East Coast sports investors. We have a lot that we want to do with merch and everything in between all of that. We're going to bring it to East Coast Sports Investors. We're going to elevate East Coast Sports Investors, and we're going to make the product better than what it is now.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. We're happy to be here. We're happy to be here with you. We're happy to be here with the partnership that we have with East Coast Sports Investors, and we're ready to grow and show everybody what can be done if you put your mind to it. And of course, we love watching the sports. We love talking about the sports, and that's what we do best. So, as always, if you followed us from the beginning,
Stay tuned.